Welcome back to Global Molecule. My name is Ramsey Jordan, and today we are talking parental issues. The last 4 people I've worked with in the last 2 weeks, it's been what's come up each time. Sometimes the mother, sometimes the father. Sometimes they're still alive, sometimes they've already passed away. If we are still complaining about our parents, we are in victim. We are disempowered, and we are avoiding responsibility for our role and our power in this dynamic. We need to live imagining that the person we might be moaning or complaining about might never change. So if you don't, nothing's going to change. Can you live like that? Can you handle it? Most of you actually want a closer, more loving bond with the parent. So what's going on? Let's take a deep dive and let's look into this. Are you ready? Let's go. Since you're very, very little, you've had an idea of how mummy or daddy or both should be caring for you, how they should love you, when they should turn up, how they should turn up, everything. I call these unexamined, unrealistic, unconscious expectations. And we must have many, many, many. I don't want to say hundreds, but let's say 10 or 20 or 30 of these. You're holding your parents hostage to these unexamined expectations. The pressure they are feeling, whether it's conscious or not, is maintaining the dynamic that's not making you happy, that's keeping you guys distant. It's fine to have these expectations, but are they serving you? And is it possible that they're ever going to get met the way things are today? One of the hardest things about awakening is waking up to the idea that what you have always wanted isn't going to come the way you always wanted it to come. You've got to drop that backpack. You've got to let it go. So you've got to examine your own life. Like, what am I expecting from my mother? What am I expecting from my father? Am I expecting emotional connection? Is that feasible? Is that reasonable? Is my mother or father capable of sitting down and discussing deep, heartfelt emotions? If the answer is no, and you keep bashing on that door, what do you think is going to happen? Now, I hate to break it to you, that part of you is the child in you. You may be an adult, you may be 40, 50, 60, 20, 30, I don't know. But that part of you is the child inside you wanting to be the child and wanting your mother and father to be the perfect parent in your vision. Awakening is to drop certain things. It's many other things, but it's to drop certain things that are unrealistic. And to step out of the role of being a child. And step up and perhaps be the love you always wanted that your parents never knew. They probably can't even conceive of the idea that you are visualizing, that you are demanding, and that you are maintaining and defending through your ego as correct, as a good idea. By letting it go, it hurts, but that's your responsibility. That's in your power. To just say, okay, that's unrealistic, it's not going to happen, but let's see what can happen. And you may find that the simple act of dropping the expectation relieves an amount of pressure off the parent where gradually, it's not happening overnight, but gradually, they feel more safe to open up. And you wake up to the point, to the reality that your parent or parents were defending themselves. They were protecting themselves from an energetic onslaught that they couldn't meet. They didn't know how to handle it. And you're playing a dynamic where I want, I can't, I want, I can't, I want, I can't, and you're proliferating this by defending these concepts with your ego. The ego is always correct, right, superior, better, the rest of it. Okay? So you're going to play the righteous, hurt, disappointed child and defend that reality, that concept, at all costs. Now, this has way more repercussions. So some of the ideas, the details that came up in the last sessions were the positive traits of the parent they had the issue with are blocked in themselves. Because if you have this idea that your parent is the bad guy, because the ego is always good, so your idea is always good, you're the good guy, you don't see this consciously, but if you step out of your little story for a little bit, you realize, wow, I'm holding the good guy picture, which inevitably makes the other one the bad guy. You will be blocking these positive traits from your parent in your own life to maintain your story that they're the bad guy. Because if you turn around and behave like them, then you were wrong. Can you feel that? Can you feel the shame and the guilt for being wrong your whole life? Can you now act like your parent in a lack of resistance, in a flow? And it's like, wow, I am my mother. I am my father. Because you are. You're a little bit of you too, and you're still working on that. You're a work in progress, that's for sure. But you are your mother and you are your father. In some very rare cases, I can imagine, maybe, perhaps not. But the more I'm alive and the more I awaken, the more I see my mother, the more I see my father in me. And the more at peace I am with that, the better my life is. My relationship with my father is absolutely amazing now, and he was the enemy before. He was the one that screamed at me to turn the music down, kick my friends out of the house, this, that, and the other. He was afraid. He didn't know how to handle things. He was tired. He was the enemy. In brief, he was, in my mind, he was the enemy. And through family awakening, through some extremely intense processes, we have found a balance. My mother passed away several years ago, and our bond was always magical. Although I was enmeshed, there were other things going on that needed to be processed. My father bond has been transformed to a place where I would never have imagined. And my brother said it to me many years ago, he's the one that needs the most love. And I was like, pfft. I did not want to believe that, not for a second, right? Total resistance. And I'm not messing around, total resistance. And it turns out to be the truth. Your responsibility with your parental bond, if you are brave enough to want to transform it without their knowing. You're not asking them to cooperate. You're not asking them to get involved in anything. You are bringing a new plate to the table, slowly, training it. One day, if you are lucky, like I was, you will care for one of or both of your parents as they pass away. I cared for my mother every day of her last 6 months. You won't be the child anymore. You will be learning to parent by parenting the parent, as I like to say, whether you have children or not. We have to step out of the role of child and step into the power of our own lives without resistance and without stubbornness, with an acceptance of what is and what isn't possible. Through analyzing our expectations, what am I wanting from my mother? What am I expecting from my father? Is it possible? Can I let it go? And what can I do instead of that? What can I bring to bring joy and love to the family? And perhaps my parents have never seen that before. And perhaps it's going to be a difficult transition for them too. Can I be supportive? What you are training with your parents, you will take with you to every other relationship of your life. And there is nothing more core, more foundational, more the base of everything you will ever do than the family bond. And that is your karmic and ancestral healing and awakening. You are born strong and bold and brave to handle these things. And believe me, you're going to need all your strength. Be aware of how your ego is maintaining a righteous, superior, correct, and better perspective whilst defending dated constructs that are no longer serving you or the bond that you wish to transform. I don't want to give details of personal sessions, but there's a lot of grief There's a lot of sadness. And there's a lot of ego. Where the ego is defending that they are the mature one, that they are the one that knows what to do, that this, that, and the other. And that standpoint is standing between the bridge between them and their parent, because they still think they are in the right. Why? Because it's how the ego maintains a feeling of control and empowerment in otherwise powerless situations. If you haven't been able to get what you always wanted from your parent, it doesn't feel nice. That's why you're sad. That's why you're grieving. That's why you're angry, because the anger pulls you out of the sadness. And that's why your ego has built these defenses around all of that, to maintain a feeling of empowerment while you felt powerless. Well, I've got news for you, and it's good news. You're an adult now, at least you think you are. Your emotions are not, but you are, physically, financially, sexually. You're an adult. Find your power. See your responsibility. Be brave enough to let go of expectations that will never be met, not in this dynamic, that you are facilitating through a dynamic, by feeding the dynamic with the same vibrational frequencies. You know that phrase, everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change? Well, we're done with that. If you want a bond with your parent or parents, it's in your hands. You know what to do. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give me a like and a subscribe to support my channel. At the time of recording this video, this channel is still a fledgling, about 8 videos, about a year old. And I really want to get out this information to as many people as humanly possible. Still learning to speak with the camera and sharing what I've seen through family awakening and personal awakening on my journey. The transformation is real, the work is real, and it's hard, but it's worth it. It's really, really, really worth it. Have a good day.